When a struggling woman drops her groceries, this kind billionaire transforms her life forever. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a soft golden glow over the bustling streets of downtown. But for Lily Henderson, that light felt like a distant memory. As she hurriedly carried her overflowing bags of groceries, each step felt heavier. A sudden jolt of panic raced through her. She stumbled. Groceries went flying. Cans rolled into the street, tomatoes splattered like tiny grenades. A couple of folks turned, eyebrows raised, and whispers snickered like shadows that more than just judgment was in the air, but among that chaos, Lily's heart skipped not just from embarrassment, but from an electric presence behind her. There he stood, tall and commanding, with a look that screamed both authority and gentleness. Ethan Blake, the city's most enigmatic billionaire, known not just for his wealth, but for the absurd rumors dancing around his life. Was it true he once bought a town just to bring it back to life? Or that he rescued a stray dog only to start a foundation to help all lost pets? He emerged like a hero out of a movie, crouching down to help her, but wasn't he supposed to be a recluse? Might I say, you've got an impressive aim, he chuckled as he handed her a can of beans, a smile lighting up his otherwise serious face. For a moment, the world outside faded, and it was just the two of them, a strange, flickering connection igniting against the backdrop of the mundane. Silence punctuated the air as a group of onlookers gasped. Just who was this man with a heart that seemed to beat louder than the city beneath them? Lily's mind raced. Could he really be as kind-hearted as they say? Or would he vanish into the shadows of his wealth once the moment passed? The other shoppers gossiped, their expressions a mixture of awe and skepticism, as Lily's heart pounded like thunder in her ears. Who was watching? Would they see the profound change that was about to ripple through her life? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Ethan dropped his gaze to her scattered groceries again. Looks like fate or clumsiness brought us together, he said, with a glint of mischief in his eyes. Let us bring some order back into this chaos, shall we? There was a sincerity in his voice that enveloped her like a warm hug. But beneath that, a wave of uncertainty crashed over her. What did this all mean? Was this kindness a new beginning, or a fleeting encounter? As she pieced the moment together, the thrill and fear tangled into a tight knot in her chest. The world buzzed around them, but her focus zeroed in on his face. Time stretched. She could either dismiss this encounter as luck or dive headfirst into the possibilities that he represented. But one thing was for sure: Ethan Blake had sparked a question that flipped her world upside down. Just how much could a single moment change everything? Lily's thoughts spiraled. There he was, this larger-than-life man, reaching for the last of her fallen groceries. As he handed her a rolling tomato, their fingers brushed. A spark ignited, sending a shiver straight up her spine. What was happening? This was beyond ordinary, beyond the awkward, fleeting encounters she was used to. Her heart raced as she quickly gathered her things, sneaking glances at the curious crowd. They were watching, murmurs flowing like a quiet river of disbelief. Thanks, she managed to utter, her voice barely breaking through the thrum in her ears. She could feel the weight of their gazes, a mix of envy and scrutiny. What did they see? An embarrassing moment turned into a fairy tale? Or were they thinking that even a billionaire couldn't save a woman like her? Would you allow me to treat you to some coffee? Ethan asked, that gentle invitation slicing through her apprehension. I feel like this might be a sign we should get to know each other. His eyes sparkled with warmth, but deep down, the nagging doubt festered in her mind. Who was she to share a moment with a billionaire? But then again, who was she to let fear dictate her life? the thought clawed at her insides. The familiar scent of coffee wafted from a cafe across the street, pulling her in like a magnet. This could be the start of something new, but could she dare to dream that big? I guess a coffee wouldn't hurt, she replied, her voice wavering like the fragile hope blooming inside her. Ethan's smile grew bright, and it was like a light flooding through the cracks of her everyday life. As they walked side by side, she couldn't help but steal glances at him. He was fit, dressed in a tailored suit that seemed to accentuate his athletic build. There was an air of confidence about him that stopped people in their tracks, but here he was, merging into the ordinary with her. She felt like Cinderella stumbling into the prince's world, and it both thrilled and terrified her. Suddenly, a shout broke through the ambient noise of the city. "Hey! You! Do you even know who he is?" A man from the crowd yelled, slinging accusations like weapons. "You think you're special just because he helped you pick up groceries? You're just a nobody." Laughter erupted, gnashing like knives. Lily felt heat rise to her cheeks, fury and embarrassment twisting within her. How could someone stab her with such cruel words? She clenched her fists, fighting the urge to retreat into herself. But Ethan's presence felt like an anchor. "Let them talk," he said quietly, looking straight at her, his voice firm yet soothing. "We're creating our own story, not living in theirs." She stared into his eyes, her heart pounding against her ribcage. Was he right? Could she let go of the past's expectations and just be? In the coffee shop, once they settled at a cozy corner table, she took a steadying breath. The ambience was warm, and the rich aroma enveloped her. As he spoke about his life, the weight of his experiences threaded a fine line between privilege and struggle, and she felt her resolve waver, but something shifted in her gut. There was more to Ethan Blake than the charming facade. As curiosity began to uncoil within her, a shadow lurked behind that appealing smile. What secrets lay beneath the surface? Just as she was about to ask, the door swung open with a bang. A man burst into the cafe, his wild eyes sweeping the room. "Ethan Blake. We need to talk. Now." Lily's chest tightened. Just who was this intruder? What was unfolding? Had she stumbled into a story far beyond a simple encounter? As she met Ethan's gaze, uncertainty twisted in her stomach. She realized she was not just a spectator but a player in a game that had just begun. What had she unwittingly stepped into? The murmurs filled the cafe like a frenzied swarm, eyes flickering between the intruder and Ethan. Lily's heart raced, each beat hammering against her ribcage. "What is this about?" she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and intrigue. Ethan's expression hardened for a split second, then softened as he turned to her. "You might want to hang tight," he advised, an unsettling calm in his voice that contrasted sharply with the chaos building around them. The man strode closer, his presence looming like a storm cloud overtaking the sun. "I don't have time for this, Ethan. We've got serious problems." The stranger's words sliced through the cafe, as potent as the espresso machines hissing in the background. Lily felt her breath hitch. Was this man a threat? Or was he just another challenge Ethan faced in his high-stakes world? She glanced around, coffee cups froze mid-sip, every patron riveted to the unfolding drama. Ethan leaned forward, a steely resolve in his eyes. "What kind of problems?" he asked, his tone even yet tinged with urgency. "They're coming for you. We need to go. Now." The stranger's eyes darted toward the exit, hinting at unseen danger lurking just beyond the cafe's quaint facade. At that moment, a chill crept down Lily's spine. Who were they? Why was this happening? It was like stepping into a page from a thriller. She had been living her mundane existence when suddenly, she was pulled into a world filled with shadows and threats. Her heart raced not only from the thrill of being by Ethan's side but from the fear of what was unraveling before her. "Wait, what do you mean, coming for him?" she interrupted. "Why should I care about any of this?" Her voice felt braver than she actually was, but the thought of being dragged into something dangerous ignited a fight-or-flight response deep within her. Ethan's gaze flicked to her, a weary acceptance embedded in his features. Because if they're after me, they might end up involving you, too. He took a deep breath, as if steeling himself for what was ahead. I won't let that happen. Lily swallowed, feeling a complex tapestry of emotions, terror, excitement, vulnerability. Here she was, a nobody, suddenly tangled in a billionaire's perilous reality. The cafe's atmosphere shifted, an undercurrent of tension palpable in the air. Around them, whispers grew frenzied. Did you hear about the accident? I heard it was connected to his business, a woman murmured, her eyes darting nervously to Ethan's table. What kind of accident? Lily's pulse quickened as she realized this wasn't just about Ethan's subdued lifestyle. She needed to know. Ethan, don't hide it from me. His jaw tightened, but he described a recent corporate scandal, one that involved illegitimate deals and backstabbing rivals. I thought I could handle it. Now, things have spiraled, he confessed, eyes sharp. I can't let you get caught in this web. But she could feel an unexpected fire igniting within her. What if this moment could redefine who she was? What if she could step out of her ordinary life and into something exciting, even if it was dangerous? Before she could voice any of this, the man spoke again, urgency coating every syllable. We have to leave now. I'm serious. Lily looked between them, the reality settling in. A decision loomed before her. Did she pause and return to her mundane life, or did she race into the unknown with Ethan? The warmth of the coffee shop faded into a distant memory as the world outside the door seemed to darken, waiting for her choice. With every breath she took, her resolve grew. I'm not scared, she announced, defiance sparking in her chest. I'm in. Ethan's gaze searched hers, a blend of admiration and concern reflected in his eyes. Are you sure? As the door swung open wider, revealing a threatening figure on the street, Lily's heart pounded in sync with the looming danger. She wouldn't return to her old life, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. But could they both truly survive this storm together? As the unknown threat stepped closer, her mind raced with possibilities. What terrifying secrets awaited them both? The door swung open with a creak that pierced the tense air, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness just outside the cafe. Dread coiled in Lily's stomach, the hairs on her arms standing at attention. The stranger's shadow seemed to stretch forward as he stepped in, a flicker of recognition flashing in Ethan's eyes. Get away from the door. Ethan barked, his voice snapping like a whip. He stood abruptly, blocking Lily with his body as he faced the new threat. The cafe, once warm and inviting, felt like a trap closing in around them. For God's sake, Ethan. The intruder hissed, a desperate edge lacing his words. We don't have time for heroics. Lily's breath quickened as she took in the confrontation. The newcomer was tall, wearing a leather jacket that whispered of danger. His eyes, dark and frantic, darted around the room, gauging the reaction of the onlookers who sat frozen in their seats, coffee cups clamped tightly in hand. What do you mean, no time? Ethan's jaw clenched, muscles in his arms taut. I thought we had before he could finish, the man interjected. They've already compromised the building across the street. The cops are on their way, but it won't matter, they're here for you. We have to move. Now. Lily exchanged quick glances with Ethan, searching his face for some insight, some assurance that everything would be okay. Her heart thundered, echoing the pulse of panic racing through the cafe. Who are they? She demanded, her voice rising above the tense atmosphere. They're not just whatever you think they are, the man retorted. They're a syndicate. They've got eyes everywhere. A chill encased Lily's heart. This wasn't just a corporate issue, this was life and death. Suddenly, her newfound resolve felt fragile. Ethan. What are we going to do? Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, his gaze locked onto the stranger. Call backup, he ordered. But stay calm, Lily. We're going to find a way out. She could hardly comprehend the intensity of the situation. Minutes felt like hours, and a million questions tumbled through her mind. What did the syndicate want with Ethan? Was her life in danger simply by being close to him? The sudden sound of sirens wailed outside, slicing through her thoughts like ice. Panic surged anew, catching in her throat. "They're here," she gasped, a weight settling on her chest as dread pooled at the pit of her stomach. "We need to go, now." The stranger pushed Ethan toward the back of the cafe, his urgency contagious. Lily followed, feeling small and lost in this chaotic turn. In a flurry of movement, they dodged startled patrons. Legs quaked beneath her as they made their way through the cramped space toward the kitchen door, where the clatter of pots and pans echoed their frantic escape. Just as they burst through the door, a loud crash reverberated in the cafe, followed by a panicked scream. The walls shook with the reverberation of chaos unfolding beyond them. Their escape route lined with shadows and uncertainty, Lily felt the adrenaline rush through her veins, spurring her into action. She pushed herself forward, driven by instinct and fear. But just when she thought they were out of the woods, the shadows behind them shifted again. "Lily!" Ethan shouted, his voice cutting through the fray. "Stay close." But she felt herself drawn to the back door, feeling an inexplicable pull toward the lurking danger. "What are you doing?" the man yelled, his tone urgent. "I need to know," she exclaimed, passion overtaking reason. Clarity struck as she realized this was her moment, a make-or-break twist in her narrative. Lily took a shaky breath, steadying herself, when a figure lunged from the darkness ahead, armed and menacing. Her heart dropped as adrenaline shot through her again. "Get back!" Ethan hollered, racing ahead to meet the threat head-on, but was this her only chance to face the truth? What were the answers lying just beyond the door? With a fierce resolve burning in her chest, Lily moved forward again, ready to confront whatever fate awaited them. In a moment that felt suspended in time, she faced the brimming unknown. Would they unravel this web of danger, or would they be consumed by the darkness surrounding them? The loud crack of gunfire echoed behind her, and everything changed. Lily flinched at the sound of the gunfire, the sharp crack echoing in her ears like a tolling bell. Fear clawed at her throat, rendering her momentarily frozen. Ethan's shout, frantic and urgent, pulled her back from the edge of the abyss. "Move," he barked, lunging back towards her. The stalker had vanished into the shadows, but the threat loomed large. The smell of dark coffee mingled with tension hung thick in the air, everything felt surreal, like a nightmarish scene from a movie. The kitchen was chaotic, and she could see through the small, grimy window to the cafe beyond. People were ducking for cover, panic etched across their faces. But right in this moment, it was the adrenaline rushing through her veins that propelled her forward, giving her a strange sense of clarity amid the chaos. "Lily, come on. We can't stay here." Ethan grabbed her wrist, the warmth of his hand grounding her, pulling her away from her fascination with the darkness ahead. Every step felt heavy with uncertainty, but lightened by a flicker of resolve, they stumbled across the kitchen, slipping past a scalding pot of soup and shattered plates scattered on the floor. The stranger didn't hesitate, he had already pushed through a door leading into the rear alley. They had to follow him. "Where does this go?" she gasped, barely keeping up. "Out. Away from here," Ethan replied tersely, the weight of urgency framing his words. As they exited into the alley, the cold air hit her like a slap, bringing her back to the reality of the moment. Ethan's figure loomed near, silhouetted against the flickering streetlight, and she caught sight of the stranger pacing anxiously ahead. "Do you know where you're going?" Ethan pressed, his voice laced with tension. "Yeah, but we have to move. They'll be searching." The man's eyes were wide, a reflection of the life and death stakes they teetered upon. Lily's heart raced as the sounds of the chaos faded behind them, the sirens lingering in the distance. They needed to get far away, far from this nightmare. But breaking free of fear wasn't easy. "What do you mean, searching?" Lily demanded, urgency sparking in her voice. "Who the hell are they?" "Listen," the man breathed heavily, frantic tension building between them. They're a syndicate involved in everything drugs, money laundering. And they'll do anything to keep their operations under wraps. Each word felt like a weight dropping into a deep pit in her stomach. This was not just a simple misunderstanding. They were targets now, caught in a web far more complex than she had ever imagined. Lily turned to Ethan, searching for something reassurance, a plan, anything to hold on to. You knew about this, didn't you? You didn't tell me. Ethan's jaw tightened. I didn't think it would come to this, Lily. I hoped it would be different. Her breath caught in her throat. Different? How could this ever be different? Each revelation felt like a knife twisting deeper. But Ethan's eyes burned with determination behind that layers of concern. I'll find a way. I promise. Just then, a flicker of movement caught Lily's eye, and her heart raced anew. She turned, spotting shadowy figures flitting in the alley's corners. The sound of footsteps echoed ominously against the damp concrete. Get down! The stranger hissed. They ducked behind a dumpster, hearts pounding as men in dark clothes emerged, fanning out into the alley in search of them. Lily's hands trembled as she pressed back against the cold metal, her breath shallow. Follow my lead, the stranger whispered, his eyes narrowing. I'll distract them. You two take off down the alley. What? Are you crazy? Ethan protested, but the man shook his head. No time to argue. We all want to live, don't we? Fear surged through Lily, fear for the companion they barely knew, for the chaos they were trapped in, and for Ethan who had wrapped himself around her like a shield. But doubts flooded her mind. Would they be safe at all? Be careful. She whispered fiercely, knowing how little time they had. With one last look, he darted into the shadows, making noise to draw the attention away from them. Come on, Ethan urged, grabbing her hand again, pulling her towards the darkness. In the midst of the impending chase, doubt clawed at her. Had they made the right choice? As sirens grew ever closer, uncertainty loomed just ahead like an impenetrable fog. Could they escape this mess together and find the truth, or were they destined to be caught in a vice of danger? A new sound pierced the air, the unmistakable roar of engines revving up close. Her heart sank as she glanced back at the alley's edge. Were they really out of time? Ethan pulled Lily deeper into the darkness of the alley, urgency driving them forward. The muffled sounds behind them faded into the frightening rhythm of their own panicked breaths. Every corner they turned raised the stakes, leaving her heart racing and her mind swirling with dread. Where are we going? She whispered, her voice barely above the wind's breath. Just keep moving. He snapped, his grip firm but almost frantic. They dashed past a row of dilapidated storefronts, the flickering neon signs casting eerie shadows. The alley seemed endless, winding and twisting, each step carrying them further from the world they knew. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and a hint of danger, wrapping around them like a smothering blanket. Then, suddenly, Ethan skidded to a halt. We can't go any further. Not like this. He looked back, fear evident in his features. Why not? She strained to hear anything approaching, her pulse quickening. There's a back entrance to an old warehouse up ahead. He motioned toward a doorway half concealed by metal grating. If we're lucky, we can lose them inside. Her stomach twisted. Luck. It felt like a cruel joke. What if it's a trap? He met her gaze, his eyes fierce. We don't have a choice. Before she could respond, he had already stepped toward the entrance, pushing the door open with a low creak. The darkness inside seemed to swallow them whole, but it was better than the chaos outside. The moment they stepped inside, the echo of their hurried breaths filled the still air. The warehouse was a cavernous space, littered with broken pallets and discarded equipment. It felt lifeless, yet the atmosphere buzzed with an eerie tension, like a beast poised to strike. As they crept further in, they searched for any place to hide, eyes darting between shadows. Do you think they followed us? Lily whispered, Panic rising in her chest, Ethan held a finger to his lips, straining to listen. The faint hum of engines faded outside. I can't hear anything. But we need to stay quiet. They moved deeper into the belly of the building, raw fear pushing them forward until they stumbled upon a stack of barrels. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. Get down, Ethan whispered, nudging her behind the stack. As they crouched, Lily's heart raced with the realization of their reality. Their lives had flipped upside down in an instant. We can't stay here forever, she murmured, feeling the weight of uncertainty crushing down on her. Ethan's jaw clenched, frustration bubbling. I know. We'll find a way out. Silence enveloped them, but it was shattered by the sound of boots crunching gravel outside. Lily's breath caught in her throat, and Ethan's grip tightened around her arm. Shoo, he instructed, his voice low and steady. Panic threatened to spill over, but she focused on Ethan's calm presence beside her, using it as a tether. Footsteps approached, and shadows passed just inches away, creating a chilling sense of vulnerability. They must be gone this way. One man barked, his voice rough and full of menace. They can't have gone far. Spread out. Another replied, and Lily shivered at the confidence in their tone. As their voices receded, dread filled her. They were relentless, and time was running thin. How would they escape? Her mind raced back to the stranger in the cafe, the one who had risked everything to give them a fighting chance. Was he even safe? Fear pierced her. Ethan, she whispered urgently, what if we never get out of here? He turned to her, determination etched on his face. We will. I promise. Just trust me. But her trust was faltering amidst the unease. In that moment, an idea sparked in her mind, a desperate possibility. What if we create a distraction? Ethan raised an eyebrow, uncertainty flickering across his features. How? Those barrels, if we knock them over, we could lure them away. It's dangerous, but it might work. His eyes studied her, weighing the danger against the chance for survival. It's risky, but time out was their enemy. She felt desperate enough to take the plunge. We have to try. Ethan nodded. Swallowing hard. Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2. Then, a thunderous bang erupted from the other end of the warehouse, a sound so loud it shook the floor beneath them. The men outside froze, momentarily distracted. Lily's instincts kicked in. She grabbed Ethan's hand, pulling him even closer to her. Now. She hissed, and they both scrambled from their hiding spot, hearts pounding wildly as they dashed toward the far end of the warehouse where they could hear the noise emanating, but just as they rounded the corner, another figure loomed ahead of them. Stop! A voice boomed, commanding and icy. Lily skidded to a halt, her breath catching in her throat as she faced an unexpected confrontation. Was this person friend or foe? Desperation tightened her chest as she realized they might have just walked straight into another trap. What had they unleashed now? Were their chances of escape slipping away? Ethan instinctively stepped in front of Lily, his body a shield against the looming threat. The figure before them was tall, clad in dark clothing, with a fierce scowl etched across his face. The shadows danced around him, making him seem even more formidable. Who the hell are you? The man demanded, his voice low and menacing. Lily's heart raced as she scanned the man's face, desperate for any sign of kindness. But all she saw were cold eyes that seemed to pierce right through her. We were just trying to get away, she stammered, her voice shaky. Get away from what? He shot back, inching closer, making Ethan tense. What is going on? A flash of movement caught Ethan's eye behind the man. A second figure was slipping out from a column of crates. Panic surged. Now's not the time for games, Ethan said sharply, his tone filled with urgency. Trust me, you don't want to be here right now, the stranger replied, a flicker of concern breaking through his bravado. If you're on the run, you need to get out. They're coming. Lily felt the knot in her stomach tighten. Who are they? Before the man could answer, a cascade of footsteps echoed from deeper within the warehouse, drawing closer with each second. Lily's breath hitched in her throat, and she felt the sheer weight of desperation enveloping her. "Listen," the stranger whispered, turning slightly to check their surroundings. "If you want to live, follow me now." Ethan hesitated, clenching his jaw. "And how do we know we can trust you?" The man's eyes sparkled with urgency. "Because if you don't, you'll be dead in under a minute. Your only hope is to follow me." Without waiting for a reply, he spun on his heel and dashed toward a narrow opening on the side of the warehouse. Ethan grabbed Lily by the arm, yanking her toward the unknown. "Let us go." They sprinted after the stranger, their footsteps echoing loudly as they wove through forgotten machinery and stacks of cardboard boxes. Adrenaline surged warily through Lily's body. As they neared the exit, the dread of capture loomed, pulsing at the back of her mind. "Wait!" Ethan called out, skidding to a halt. Lily almost ran into him. "We can't just leave without knowing who he is." But before he could finish his thought, the stranger turned around, frustration brimming in his eyes. "There's no time. If we don't get out, we'll be trapped here." Lily glanced back, the sound of heavy footsteps growing closer, winding through the warehouse like a snake ready to strike. They had to make a choice, and they had to make it quickly. "Lily, we can't hesitate. We have to move," Ethan urged, pleading with his eyes. She felt a pang of uncertainty, but the look on Ethan's face ignited her instincts. Just as she was about to nod, a loud crash echoed through the warehouse, sending shards of wood flying through the air. It was followed by the unmistakable sounds of shouting. "Go!" The stranger yelled, emerging first into the relative safety of dim light outside. He extended a hand toward them. Lily took a deep breath, feeling the air steel her voice. "Ethan, we can't just trust him," Ethan said firmly. In that moment of clarity, she realized he was right. There was no time for questions. Without another word, she took Ethan's hand, and together, they stepped into the light, the world outside bursting into color and chaos. The alley lay before them, a maze of opportunities and peril. "What now?" Lily gasped, suddenly feeling exposed. The stranger turned, urgency painted across his features. "Now we run. They won't stop coming after you until they find you." As they sprinted through the streets, Lily's mind raced with questions. Who was this man? What danger awaited them? And who was hunting them down with such ruthless intent? Before she could voice her fears, the streets erupted into chaos. A screeching of tires cut through the air, followed by the roar of an engine. A black van sped past them, rounding the corner just ahead. "Keep moving," the stranger barked, pulling them into a narrow side street. Lily's chest tightened with the weight of her uncertainty, but as they hurried through the labyrinth of alleys, the sound of the van faded, replaced by the pulse of pounding hearts. Where would they go next? What had they just stumbled into? The sense of danger loomed larger than ever, closing in around them. As they paused to catch their breath, Ethan's eyes danced with determination, but Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something far more sinister was lurking just out of sight, waiting for them to make the wrong move. What were they really running from, and would they ever uncover the truth before it was too late? They pressed on, their breaths coming in loud gasps, hearts pounding like drums in their chests. The man led them deeper into the maze of alleys, glancing back every few seconds, eyes darting with palpable fear. Each look seemed to pull a shadow out of the abyss behind them, an unshakable sensation that danger was lurking, crouched and ready to pounce. "Where are we going?" Lily finally managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. The stranger didn't respond immediately. He turned around sharply, his face a mask of determination. "You need to trust me. There's a safe house not far from here. We just have to reach it." Before a deafening roar interrupted him, a rumble that made the ground vibrate beneath them. Lily's gut twisted at the sound of the van again, vicious and relentless. The man's eyes widened. "We've got to hurry. They're closer than I thought. Ethan pulled Lily even tighter against him, the urgency of their predicament making her skin prickle. What's happening? Who are they? There was desperation in his question, a genuine plea for answers. They're after you, he snapped, breathless. I've seen what they do to people like you. We don't have time. He took off again, urging them forward, panic flooded Lily's veins. The reality of their situation crashed over her like icy water. Were they really in grave danger? Seconds blurred into a chaotic frenzy, each moment passing like an eternity. What had they stumbled into? They turned into another alley, the world around them becoming a blur of bricks and shadows. Every sound felt exaggerated, each echo like a ghost whispering threats. Just ahead, they could see a rundown building, windows broken and flaking paint peeling like it might dissolve at any moment. Inside. The stranger urged, pushing the door open. Lily hesitated, doubtful, but Ethan shoved her forward, propelling them both into the dim interior. The moment they were through, the man slammed the door shut, locking it with a swift motion that screamed of practiced urgency. Lily leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath, her heart hammering in her chest like it might break free. What the hell is going on? She gasped. The man paced, running a hand through his dark hair, frustration etched into every line of his face. You really don't know, do you? His voice was raw, strained. They're hunting you because you witnessed something you shouldn't have. What do you mean? Witnessed what? Her voice trembled as her mind raced back to the night that had thrown them into this nightmare, a shadowy figure with a glint of metal and the chilling sensation of being watched. The stranger stopped, his expression darkening as he met her gaze. It's bigger than you can imagine. They're involved in something dangerous, and you saw their faces. They won't rest until they silence you. Lily's mind reeled, the weight of his statement pulling her deeper into despair. But I didn't see anything. She protested weakly, but deep down, she knew she had seen enough to rattle her to the core. Doesn't matter, Ethan chimed in, his tone resolute. We need a plan. Plan? The stranger scoffed, stepping closer, a wild look in his eye. The only plan is to stay alive. They're not far behind. We need to move again, now. Lily looked at Ethan, who nodded firmly, determination etched in his features. Together, they turned to the man, who was now scanning the room as if the walls themselves were closing in. Where do we go? Ethan asked, his voice steady but laced with urgency. The man pointed toward a narrow staircase leading up. There's a safe roof access. If they come in here, we can see them before they see us, and figure out what our next move is. The choice hung in the air: trust an unknown ally and face the unknown, or risk being caught. A lump formed in Lily's throat as she felt the heat of desperation and fear. Let us do it, she finally said, a tremor lacing her words. Let us go. As they ascended the stairs, a thundering bang echoed against the door behind them, a signal that time was running out. With each step, the air thickened, dread and instinct twisting together into something raw and primal. They reached the roof, breathless and alert. The city sprawled around them, lights twinkling like stars so far removed from the chaos churning beneath. But a scream of an engine cut through the relative peace, a reminder of the hunt that loomed ever closer. Lily squinted into the distance, her heart hammering even faster as she spotted ominous figures firing up the street toward their hiding place. Oh God, they're here. Ethan turned, determination cranking up in his eyes. We need to figure out how to get out of this mess now. A cascade of dread washed over Lily, a realization thick and cold. They were in over their heads. Would they escape, or was this the moment everything spiraled? What would become of them now, as the clock ticked louder with every passing second? Life hung precariously on the edge, with danger bursting at the seams. In the shadow of the city's glistening skyline, danger crept closer, whispers of the truth waiting just behind every corner. Would they have the strength to face what lay ahead? The chill of the night air sliced through them as they crouched on the rooftop, hearts racing like wild horses. The sound of that engine revving closer sent a jolt through Lily's entire being. Ethan's grip on her hand tightened, a lifeline in the chaos, a promise that they wouldn't face this alone. "Can we go down the fire escape?" Lily whispered urgently, casting a glance over the edge. The metal structure seemed rickety, shadows clung to it like a veil of uncertainty. She didn't want to think about what awaited them below. Too risky. If they're right behind us, we might lead them straight to an exit they expect. The man, still unnamed, interrupted her thoughts. His jaw was set, determination radiating from his posture. "We need to outsmart them." Here, he gestured to the other side of the roof, where some old ventilation pipes snaked across the surface like tortured metal serpents. "If we can get across those, we can reach the neighboring building." Lily swallowed hard, realizing there was no room for hesitation. "Fine. Let us do it." Ethan sounded more confident than she felt, and she envied his resolve. They moved carefully, navigating the sharp edges and slipping through the shadows like whispers in the night. The distant roar of the van echoed as it growled around the corner. Lily froze, her chest tightening. "It's coming closer," she gasped, more to herself than to them. The weight of the moment was heavy, darkness wrapping around her, threatening to pull her into its depths. Ethan squeezed her hand and pulled her forward. "We can't stop. Just think about getting to the other side." They reached the treacherous pipes, and the stranger went first, hoisting himself up and slithering across with surprising agility. Lily followed, heart thumping loud enough to drown out the sounds of the city below. She felt the tension in the air, a quiet hum of impending doom mixed with every ragged breath. When she looked down, a wave of vertigo washed over her. A dizzying height separated them from what felt like the very depths of fear below. "Ethan. I can't just focus on my voice," he urged, stepping cautiously behind her, his eyes locked on her face. "You've got this. One step at a time." Lily closed her eyes, willing herself to breathe, to take that leap of faith. With every cautious step, her feet seemed to defy gravity, crunching against the coarse surface of the pipe. Each inch felt like she was inching closer to salvation or catastrophe. Time slowed as the sound of the van's engine faded into nothing but a distant growl, replaced by a harsher noise: shouts, footsteps, chaos unfolding in the alleyway below. There were more than one, she realized, panic unfurling in her chest. They were surrounded. "Keep moving." The stranger barked, now halfway across the gap. A peek over the side confirmed her worst fears: men in black suits combing the area, weapons glinting ominously. The air thickened with tension, the stakes rising like a tide. With a final push of adrenaline, Lily reached the end of the pipe, collapsing onto the rooftop of the adjacent building. Tears stung her eyes as she turned back to help Ethan. He followed, but the moment of triumph was short-lived. "Look out!" Lily screamed as the sound of booted footsteps erupted behind them. Without thinking, she grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him against her as they dived behind an air conditioning unit. Just as a figure appeared on the rooftop's edge, their breaths came fast and shallow, every vein in her body pulsing with fear. The figure leaned over, scanning the rooftop, eyes piercing through the darkness, searching for them. Lily dared not breathe as she caught sight of the glint of a weapon crossing the haze of shadows. The realization slammed into her: this was not just a random chase. They had crossed a line. Now, they were prey in a deadly game. "Are you okay?" Ethan's voice was a quiet murmur, filled with concern. Fear flickered beneath the surface, but she nodded, words trapped in her throat. "This way," their unidentified ally urged, pulling them once more, directing them away from the edge and into an embrace of shadow. They ducked into a crevice at the wall's base, every muscle tense, waiting, breath hitching in their throats. They could hear the figures above, the urgency in their voices, orders bellowing. They were closing in, the hunt ever more perilous with each tick of the clock. Lily's mind raced. She couldn't let fear consume her. She couldn't. The thought ignited a spark deep within her. "We need to fight back. There has to be something we can use, she said, determination suffusing her words. But was that even possible? Or would their fight for survival lead them only deeper into the shadows? As panic blared through her thoughts like a siren, uncertainty loomed larger than the threat behind them. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, they realized that the shadows could either shield them or become their tomb. What they didn't know was whether the night held their salvation or their doom. A figure emerged from the shadows behind them, laughter echoing coldly off the brick walls, sending a shiver spiraling down Lily's spine. Looking for something? What would they do now, caught between the unknown and an enemy that seemed to know them all too well? The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that sent chills down Lily's spine, a notorious man whose presence had whispered through the underbelly of the city. It was Marcus Reyes, a name that carried danger like a shadow, powerful and sinister. The air thickened around them as dread seeped into every crack in the wall. Ethan instinctively pushed Lily further behind him, shielding her from the very threat they had fought so hard to escape. "What do you want, Reyes?" Ethan demanded, his voice steady yet filled with underlying fury. Marcus's lips curved into a smirk, delighting in their discomfort. "What I want? Oh, it's simple," he said, his tone dripping with malice. "You two have something that belongs to me. And I'm here to take it back." The weight of his words crashed over Lily like a tidal wave. "What do you mean? We don't have anything of yours." Her voice shook, adrenaline coursing through her. Marcus's eyes gleamed with amusement. "It's not you, darling. It's the secrets you stumbled upon, the things you saw when you weren't supposed to be looking." Ethan's expression darkened, fury boiling beneath the surface. "We weren't looking for trouble. We just want to go home." His voice was a growl, defiance sparking like a fire beneath the surface. "Oh, but you're in trouble now," Marcus cooed. "And your home doesn't exist anymore. Not with me on your trail." Panic surged through Lily again, but within that panic, something solid formed in her chest, a determination that refused to waver. "We'll never give you anything," she spit, her voice stronger than she expected. "Feisty," Marcus noted, stepping closer, shadows pooling around his feet. "But you obviously don't see the bigger picture here. If you cooperate, you could save yourselves a lot of pain." "Like what?" Ethan snapped, a protective fire glowing in his gaze. "Like I don't kill you right now," Marcus replied, the smile fading from his face, his voice ice cold. "But trust me, the clock is ticking. Your choices matter now." The muffled sound of footsteps echoed again, reminding them how dangerously close they were to being trapped. "We have to get out of here," Lily whispered urgently to Ethan, her heart racing. "Let us put some distance between us and him," Ethan said, squeezing her hand tighter as he pulled her away from Marcus. With each second that passed, there was no guarantee that Reyes wouldn't chase them. Suddenly, the door rattled as if someone was trying to get in. Time was running out. "Run!" Ethan barked, and they burst from their hiding spot, dashing for an exit they sensed ahead. As they sprinted, Lily's heart pounded in her chest, fear propelling her toward survival. The dimly lit corridor consumed them, openings twisting into shadows, uncertainty dancing along with them. But as they neared where they thought the exit lay, chaos erupted once more. A shadow lunged from the darkness ahead. Lily gasped, clenching Ethan's hand. "Not so fast." A voice shouted, and the figure emerged, tall and menacing. Ethan pushed Lily behind him again, standing firm. "Get away from her," he yelled, determination laced in his words. "Ethan, no." Lily screamed, realizing he was going to face the man head-on. But he only glared, driven by unyielding courage. He wouldn't let her down. In a flash, the man lunged at them, a scuffle broke out. Lily's heart thundered, helplessness washing over her. But then, she remembered the stranger, the ally they had left behind. What if he was still nearby? Risking everything, she darted sideways, hunting for any means of escape. With one sudden burst of adrenaline, she caught sight of something, a jagged window on the lower side. "Over here!" she shouted. This way. Ethan's eyes flicked to her, gauging whether to pursue Marcus or retreat with her. Without hesitation, he chose her, standing back against the advancing threat for just a moment longer before racing toward her. The moment was surreal, adrenaline and fear blending into one decisive action. As they leapt through the window, shards of glass glimmered like deadly stars, but freedom lay beyond that risk. They landed on the other side, rolling into the darkened alley beyond a world that pulsed with danger and urgency. The sounds of chaos faded slowly as they stumbled onto the street, their breaths heavy, their dangers momentarily at bay. As they caught their breath, Lily looked at Ethan, heart racing with exhilaration. "We can't keep running forever. We need a plan," she said, her voice steadier now. "I know," Ethan replied, determination glinting in his eyes. "But this time, we're not doing it alone. We'll confront Reyes, find the truth, and end this nightmare once and for all." And as they stood there, side by side, a fragile strength blossomed between them. The fear that once threatened to engulf them now transformed into resolve. Together, they would face whatever came next, ready and willing to demolish the chains binding them to fear. With that, their mission solidified, an unbreakable pact formed in the chaos. They would uncover secrets, seek justice, and perhaps even spark something beautiful amid the darkness that had threatened to consume their lives. But first, they needed allies, a safe haven, and a plan. "Let us get out of here," Ethan said, holding Lily's hand firmly as they moved forward into the unknown, side by side, ready to write their own story. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive story. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't even wait for a second, share this video with at least 5 friends who crave thrill and adventure. You want to be part of this community? This is the moment to show your support. Don't miss out on what's coming next.